Hello, Marc.
And I'm Luzera.
And this is our program that we made in AppInventor, the website that helps you create apps in a simple way. We made a game similar to the arcade game Galactica, where you start with a rocket at the bottom, you have to hit the enemies at the top, and this is just the interface. We have the title here, the image, and then the new game and credits. And then I'll explain in the blocks what this does. Basically, the AppInventor website gives you free code that you can either choose from here and drag and drop, or you could type in certain code and see if it has it. Basically, this does is the button one is new game, which just goes to the screen game, and this one just goes to the credits. And then we have designer, and we look at the credits. Yeah. Basically, that's the credits. How much programming? Lewis, me, moral support.
Who's Nancy Wallace?
He provided the
person
image.
who actually made the rocket on the front.
Never met her actually.
Okay. Now, go back to the blocks for, yeah. Okay, so when you click on button 1, it launches a new game.
Yeah.
When you click on button 2, it launches the credits. Now, how come screen 2, shouldn't that have been better renamed credits?
We had an issue with AppInventor where it's kind of hard to rename certain variables after you've already created them.
And why do you think that is?
Design flaws, I suppose.
Okay.
And so it varies. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But we were still getting the hang of it. And so by the time we had created the entire app screen, we didn't think it was worth it to redo all that work for the sake of changing the name.
Okay.
It was just easier.
You can see that by the time we got to the game screen, we had figured out how to name things. Sort of.
Okay. All right. Explain this code.
So,
First of
the
all,
game screen before
first of all, why do you have the code organized the way you do, like that? Looks like you've got 4 major subroutines.
I organize.
There's actually a lot more. It scrolls that way.
It just keeps going.
Okay.
I organize
Okay.
Is there a rhyme or reason why you organize it that way?
They're loosely organized around certain actions that I'll explain after I show you the designer.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the main game screen.
Right.
So what you have here is very funny, guys. You have a canvas, and then you load image sprites onto them, which are objects. So you'd have the ship, with the player cursor, a given number of enemies, and 1 bullet at a time, because it's kind of hard for the processor to handle multiple bullets. It gets complicated.
Okay, so the ship is called dog ship.
Yes.
Okay, and the dog ship. Okay, and the bullet. It's
Ball
called
1.
It's just
ball
ball
1.
It's
There's
what it's called already.
only 1 ball,
Only 1 ball.
But every time you press fire, it regenerates a new one.
Right.
but it regenerates the same object.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same object used multiple times.
Okay.
We couldn't get it to do multiple at one time. That would have been cool though. We just
Right,
have
and then
buttons.
here you can't actually see this because it's a non-visible component. But if you scroll down on components,
Where is that? We're on.
you have 5.
No, not
Oh, yeah.
visible components down there.
There
There you go.
Yeah, those 5 clocks are timers that control the movement of the four moving elements on this that aren't directly player controlled, which would be the 4 enemies and the bullet itself after you hit fire. And
Okay, so clock 1 controls what? Ball 1.
ball
Yeah.
1, I think, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5 control each of the 4.
Put the mouse over those. Okay, so
Image
image
spread
spread
2, image
We
spread
realized
3,
it'd been
4,
better to-
and 5.
Okay.
And then go to take it to blocks. And so here you have a series of responses to given actions. So when you where's the fire command? All right, scroll that way. So when button 2 click, which I'll show you here for the sake of convenience.
Yeah, we have the app on the tablet.
Come on, here we go. This is button 2, fire. So when you click this button, it resets the position of the ball 1 object to the current position of your cursor, and then enables the clock to get it to move, which is a different routine, which causes it to move a given number of pixels upwards per second.
Okay.
And so when you click button 1, which would be the one immediately to the left, or button 2, button 3 immediately to the right, it'll move the cursor X number of pixels left and right.
Okay. Can we see this program run in the emulator?
We haven't
I don't
tried
think this
that.
has an emulator.
I don't think it does.
Well,
I tried to get
let's pause it. Let's pause it real quickly. Let's see if we can get the emulator. Okay, there it is.
Okay, so we got the emulator up. And so, where were we? Buttons?
Okay.
Yeah, so as you can see here, you can hit these, the 3 buttons down here
Yeah, there we go.
to control the cursor, and you can hit the fire button, and it will reset the position of that object and have it move upwards. Now, if you see here, any minute now, it might collide.
I'm feeling one
I'm
at
not
the
sure if
top.
I am correctly.
Oh, score's gonna go.
Yes.
20.
And then you see that when that happens, pull up the blocks editor, it increments the score. It'll add 10 to it, and it'll make the
Yeah,
ball.
show me the code where that's
The
happening.
ball
see where
spin.
is
And
it?
then when ball collided with other, that is anything that's on an edge, we set the consequences of an edge collision up above that. When it collects with any object that isn't an edge, it will stop the clock that controls ball movement.
Right.
Set the label 1, that'll be the score. It'll add 10 to the score,
we had to go
and
by 10.
it'll reset the ball, which is now invisible, because that's another command under it. The ball's current position to right where the cursor currently is, to get it out of the way.
Okay.
And then
So when it collides with other,
Yeah.
it resets what clock? Clock 1.
clock 1, which
Which is
controls which is the one that's currently making the ball move. So it'll
Right.
freeze its position. It'll reset its position down here to prevent it from colliding with anything else. It'll make it invisible, and it'll increment your score.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. It disappears, and the score goes up.
And so if you scroll up, Mark.
Yeah.
Alright, scroll up, pull the game back up. So if I happen to fire and it doesn't hit anything, which is fire,
Are we gonna hit it?
Oh.
We try again.
you need to be worse at the game, Mark.
Too good at this game.
Yeah, Mark isn't used to losing.
Okay, it's gonna be kind of hard because we
Go ahead.
spaced out the
Okay,
enemies a lot.
yeah, there you go.
But in the event that it actually gets to the top and doesn't hit anything, it'll run the same procedure except without the score
There you go.
incrementation.
It's just gonna keep going up.
Oh my god.
Ah, I'm gonna win again.
I think this is.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Not too good.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll
let's just-
take your word for it.
Yeah, we'll just take our word.
Okay, all right, now, the rest of the code, go ahead
Yeah,
and
The rest of the
explain.
code. Oh yeah. These are the collision procedures for
When it hits the side.
what
here,
happens when
it goes
the
back over here.
enemies hit the side. It will reset it to the left side of the screen. So they'll be constantly moving right, and then when they hit
They
the
go
edge,
back.
they'll
But
reset
do
it.
they start back at the same position on
Yeah.
the left?
Yeah.
If you look closely, they'll start on the same line right here.
Yeah.
Right
Okay.
about 10 pixels from
What,
the edge of the
what
screen.
about setting it so that they start on the left again, but in random positions?
I mean,
That would be cool.
you could do that, but you mean random height positions?
Yes.
Like it would just hit 0, probably like
Yeah.
go down
I mean,
here.
then you'd have to deal for the account for the possibility of 2 of them spawning at the same level and colliding. I have no idea what happens when 2 of those hitboxes.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
guarantee you the
It would-
universe will remain
It
as
would
it
do
is.
it.
Yeah.
And then over here.
And then these are the clocks that control movement. So you have the first one that controls
Yeah,
the
that's
ball's
what
movement. It'll move 20 pixels upwards per second, I think.
Yeah.
And then these will move 20 pixels to the right every second until they collide with another object,
Yeah.
or until the clock is disabled.
Okay, so go back to the emulator real quickly. Okay. Guys, questions or comments? Mark?
If you were to try and speed up the program, how would you go about doing that? Like the
Oh,
enemies-
good question, very good
We
question.
tried speeding up. I remember.
The program itself isn't actually
Yeah.
slow. It's just
Yeah.
we've set the movement speeds pretty far down.
Oh.
The thing that happens with this is because the clock timer moves how do I put this? Moves per
Yeah.
second. Increasing the movement speed doesn't actually make it there's no smooth movement. There's no
Yeah.
like progression from point A to point B.
Like we just moved.
It'll
this
just
up.
jump in larger intervals,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so if you increase it, if we increase the movement speed anymore, it become extremely hard to hit things because it'll just jump over them.
Yeah, it'd be like here to here to here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so show me the steps that one would take if they want, instead of using the emulator, if they wanted to download this. Did you guys upload this to Google Play?
No,
No.
we didn't.
Okay, so how do you transfer this without having uploaded it to Google Play? How do you transfer this from this computer to, say, a Nexus 7?
Well, what we did
Show us the
was
steps.
Well, you can
Build.
download the APK and distribute that manually, like on a USB and a flash drive. Then you can sideload it onto one of these tablets. Or what you could also do is have it build a QR code,
Right?
which you can just then scan with any Android device and have it download automatically from their webpage.
That's what we
Okay,
did.
so show it. Show
Right,
show the QR code generation.
It's goggles. Google goggles.
This is what we did every time to test it. 'Cause we didn't know we could run it on emulator. Takes a while.
Now, this is called Galactica, right? But that says Galicia there?
Yeah, I typed it really fast and I couldn't go back and fix it.
Okay.
So I just had to roll with it.
Okay, so there's the QR code.
Right, and then you, with any QR code scanner, like the one Google has, you would just scan that.
Okay.
This only has a camera on the front.
Yeah.
And there you have it. It has a link, and you would just click that and it would download it.
Let me see. But can't you also generate the URL from there without, what if you don't have a QR scanner?
Then you either use the APK or you are.
See if there's anything that connects. It's USB, but I don't know what any of this does.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or concerns, guys?
Can I have a comment?
Sure.
to make?
Sure.
Absolutely.
So an interesting thing that I noticed also when you're doing the code is that, I mean, I guess it's just more of like a thing to make the game experience a bit better, but also like, I think since it's obviously easier to hit the ones that are like on the very first row because you just shoot them, you maybe like, although you can't make it easier for the thing to move, maybe you could increase the amount of points for each progressive sprite.
Oh, yeah.
That way, it kind of adds to the dynamic of.
So like the
challenge
higher
of
ones
hit-
give you higher points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get more points.
Yeah, that's good.
You know.
Yeah, that would be an easy. That would
That'd
be
be
an easy fix. Actually, though, if you scroll that way, the reason we can't
Yeah.
actually do something like that. Now that I think about it, no, all the way.
All the way.
All right, you see here when we have when a ball collides with anything that isn't an edge, for some reason this currently doesn't handle. We tried every way. It can't detect collisions with each individual image sprite.
Yeah, I tried doing that. They're
It can
right.
only detect general collisions. So the thing is, I can't have it trigger a certain procedure if it hits X object because I can't. There's no condition for when ball collides with X object. That's also the reason why we couldn't have an object, one of the enemies disappear after you hit it with a given number of bullets because I can't code for the eventuality of it hitting that particular image sprite.
So it's not like if it hits image sprite 3, you get 100 points. If you hit image sprite 2, you get 50 points. You can't do that.
No, we can't do that. We only had to do with just if it generally hits any one of them,
Any
it'll give
one
it
of them.
10
I'd
points.
say that really reduces the
Yeah, I know.
ability of this program.
Right. The funny thing is, there was a program that dealt also with hitboxes, and then that was an early version of AppInventor, and that actually did support being able to add a certain object in that parameter. So you could write that as when ball 1 collided with X image sprite.
Plug in one
For
of
some
them.
reason, this one doesn't actually have an opening for a block containing the name of the image sprite, and there's actually no. If he clicks on other, you want to show them? No, I think click just right click maybe. There we go.
Wait, wait,
just
just hover over it.
All right, it'll give you those blocks, but there's actually no way to attach those blocks to the main procedure.
Yeah.
So they're actually kind of useless. And so that really limits the functionality of the program, but that's it's unfortunately something you have to work with an AppInventor.
Okay.
Can I say one thing too about this? Well, I would say like it's a very interesting program. I have to say, like, you know, the whole block connecting procedure. But I kind of noticed that like when you end up putting this many blocks, you know, and you get this in depth to like connecting them, in reality, I mean, if you basically almost write what they have written on the blocks themselves, you're almost doing all the coding yourself. So like it's almost like it's just like if you were to like flowchart a program, this would be like basically like the same exact thing, except it's like a very almost too in-depth flowchart, I guess you could say.
What
because
you're
it's doing everything.
saying is this is like this is a way of taking like a mind map and turning it into an Android program. This is not really Android programming itself. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, not only that, but like
It's a visual way of
think that-
programming.
Well, not only that, but I'd say like not only that, but you know, there are certain restrictions of it. But like I'd say, like if you were being introduced to the idea of object-oriented programming, because you know in this case you're actually seeing the objects at work, it's very good for people being introduced into the whole concept. Because some people really have trouble understanding what object-oriented programming really means.
Right.
So this is a very useful tool in that sense for educating people on how object-oriented programming actually relates to each other. You can reference back to certain parts and stuff. But I have to say, I mean, if you want to really get nitty-gritty with it, I mean, it's not so much of a step because you're already starting to type so much. And if you just start learning like the syntax of the way to do it, then you can really actually get into like doing whatever you want because then there's no restrictions of like what the AppInventor has.
Now, I'm wondering, now that you mentioned the fact that this is a good segue to object-oriented programming, and one of the initiatives of the Android app is the Special Olympics app, is to create an Android APK that for the Special Olympic athletes. I wonder if maybe this could serve as a good tool for creating a simulation of what we want to do.
I don't think so. I mean, it seems more like a game oriented thing. I would be pretty actually frustrated using this because I would be like trying to like do things that it wouldn't let me, and they'd have always like. I mean,
So it's a good
I'm not
intro.
gonna criticize this because I have my own opinion, but personally, for my opinion, I would not like to program like this. That's what I was saying. This really is depending on how you like to view programming, how you like to create your games. I mean, the softwares like this really help people do more advanced stuff with less effort, but then that limits functionality and that
Yeah.
limits like.
Well, it's the same thing.
possibility.
It's the same thing with the Dark Basic in the software design class. It's a good way of creating a prototype for your game, but would one want to create a game in Dark Basic and distribute it? It's actually just a good. It lets you visualize your game. So that you don't have to learn how to code with DirectX, and you don't have to know what the different APIs for the Unreal Engine is. It just lets you create a program that interfaces with Unreal Engine without necessarily, you actually want to code that game in something like C++ instead. So this is a good way of creating like the prototype for Galactica, as opposed to the actual Galactica that one saw like with what was that, Sega, or was it?
Galaga.
Galaga.
Yeah, I think that's what you guys meant.
Yeah,
There's
Mark-
actually two. There's Galactica.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion and a question.
Sure.
And the suggestion is I think you guys should add a return button so you can get back to the home screen of the game instead of returning back to the home screen of the actual Android tablet. Because when you were running it, when you press the back button, it
Right.
wouldn't
The
ring.
thing about Android is that it's actually got built-in back button.
I know, but I'm just saying like you should be able to return to the main menu.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The thing
Yeah,
about
like right now, how would you go back to
Yeah.
playing another game?
Android usually will let you return to the previous screen.
well, I don't know why.
Is
And
it
then now
the
what?
version or?
No. See, the thing about it is that the emulator is running each individual screen as its own app.
Yeah.
It's not. It actually didn't load the app onto it. It's just simulating the screen. So the thing about it is that the back button on Android will always take you to the previous screen you were on. But because we didn't actually reach the game screen through the menu, there is no menu screen currently loaded onto the
That's why
onto the emulator.
It would be better on the tablet, because on the tablet you
If
press
on
the
the if
back
I take the tablet though,
The other
And
issue about that.
find the button first.
I mean, if you were to say, let's say you're in the middle of playing the game and you wanted to go like to Safari or I'm thinking Safari. You go to the internet, you go to your browser, and you go back to it, then it wouldn't be like one tab, it'd be like multiple, you start getting to multiple tabs back. If you were to do other things and go back to the game instead of the game running. So I think Marcus does raise a really good point that, I mean, within the game, it's good to have a built-in back button. That way you don't have to override all your other back buttons. You can go back through all the pages you've been doing if you were to leave the game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
Okay.
It's really easy to
Oh,
say.
Good job,
And
boys.
any other
Yeah.
questions or comments? One question, guys.
My question was, now that you've experienced using AppInventor, would you recommend it as like to continue projects or anything for people?
I'm encouraged by what you guys have done, and I would love to have you guys continue using AppInventor. I think it's a nice visual way of prototyping something that later on you may want to perfect in Java or on Android using Eclipse. But the learning curve for Eclipse and Android is very high. This is kind of like a nice segue to it.
Yeah, it's more like intro to easy.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, thank you guys.
Good job, guys.
Mm.